The first article I wanted to look at is titled, After Twitter Ban, Christian Hate Preacher Greg Locke Whines About Persecution. That's right! Greg Locke, Pastor Greg Locke, was finally banned from Twitter. This article was written by Hemant Mehta on the Friendly Atheist website, so let's give it a read and see what it says. I also intend to watch the clip that he released about this, so let's check out the article first. Earlier today, which was September 14th when this happened, hate preacher Greg Locke was permanently suspended from Twitter, so I guess prayers do come true. It's not clear which tweets led to the nuclear option, but there's no shortage to choose from. Locke has spent much of the past year denying the pandemic, telling people not to get vaccinated, and banning masks inside the circus tent he calls a church. It's actually a literal circus tent that he has set up, that they hold church under. Technically, that may be considered outdoors. I wonder if that's why the CDC didn't come after him, or the FDA, or whoever the hell comes after churches who refuse to hold their services outdoors or wear masks or whatever else. I bet it's because he's considered holding church outdoors since it's in a circus tent. Anyway, let's keep reading. He reacted in a surprisingly calm way, admitting that Twitter has every right to set its own rules and suspend violators, then letting people know he'd be using a different social media service. I'm just kidding. He threw a hissy fit and claimed he'd file a lawsuit against Twitter. Alright, this is the clip. Let's watch it. It was a total of 9 minutes long. I think I cut it down to like 3 minutes. Yeah, 3.5. So let's watch.
Hey guys, Pastor Greg Locke here. I want you to share this video. As you can see, the title demonstrates the fact that I was just finally permanently banned today from Twitter. They've given me 30 days, they've given me 10 days, they've given me 3 days or 24 hours through the years. I've been on Twitter since 2009. It's the most difficult platform to build, and finally...
You know, I have to interrupt him mid-sentence. I hate doing that, but he does run on sentences. He never stops talking, which is an option. You know, some people do that when they're doing public speaking, but I prefer to kind of split my thoughts up into separate sections personally. Anyways, he's kind of right on this point. Twitter is like one of the most difficult platforms to build up, and I wondered why that was. I think it's because they don't have much of a recommendation algorithm. Like YouTube has a recommendation algorithm that they use. Like when you play a video on YouTube, you'll see an up next tab, all kinds of other stuff, or they'll send you to somebody else's video after you watch something like that. Like they have a whole artificial intelligence dedicated to suggesting new content creators and videos to you based on what you watched previously. As far as I know, Twitter does have like a little section on the side of like, you know, like a recommendation thing. But for the most part, it doesn't really work that way on Twitter. Not the same way as a lot of other social media networks. It is very difficult to build up. Anyway, let's keep listening.
After we got up to almost 114,000 followers, now granted, after January the 6th, they took away about 20,000 followers.
Okay, hold on. They didn't take away 20,000 followers after January 6th. You know what happened? After January 6th, Twitter banned a bunch of QAnon accounts, like 70,000 QAnon accounts or something like that. And Greg Locke watched his numbers drop and drop and drop as they banned QAnon accounts. Isn't that hilarious? Like a massive portion of Greg Locke's followers were QAnoners. Big surprise, right? Let's keep listening.
But finally, after building it up, having a verified platform on Twitter, they take the whole thing away.
It was his fault 100%. He refused to follow the rules, and he knew what the consequences were, and I know he knew what the consequences were because he'd gone through this process before. He said he'd been banned for like 24 hours, and then 7 days, and 28 days, whatever the holy hell else there is. I don't remember the process now, because I've never been banned by Twitter for tweeting anything. But he knew this process well. He has been through it before, and he still refused to follow the rules on this private company's platform. That's what it is, man. That's what it is.
After years, since 2009, because I'm a danger. Guess who's still on Twitter? The Taliban, ladies and gentlemen. Are you awake yet, sheep? Wake up.
Do you know why the Taliban's still on Twitter and you're not, Greg Locke? Because they don't tweet out disinformation or violent rhetoric. They know better. The Taliban, if nothing else, is really good at propaganda and social media marketing. They know what it's going to take to stay on this platform, so they do it. That being said, I think they should have been removed. I think the Taliban should have been removed. But Facebook removed them, I believe, and Twitter decided not to remove them until they do something worthy of being removed from the platform. Understandable, not the decision that I would have made, but it's not my decision to make anyways, right?
Use your brain, use your Bible, get a backbone. They just permanently banned me. I'm the first pastor with any sort of a platform that's been banned.
Wow, I love it. He's got to add all those little caveats in, right? Not the first pastor to be banned, but the first pastor with any kind of platform to be banned. What does that even mean, first of all? And second, does he think that this is happening because he's a pastor? Because that's what he's implying here. He's trying to make you feel, or trying to make his audience feel anyways, that Twitter banned him because he's a Christian. This is all part of the persecution complex. They need to be persecuted. It's part of the ideology.
So guess what? We're fighting back right now. Within 1 hour of it happening, we've already had our wonderful lawyer for our ministry file, and we have just entered into the class action lawsuit against Twitter and all of these censorship Nazis. We just entered in with Candace Owens and Donald Trump and others. Can you believe it? They banned a pastor.
Okay, again, they didn't ban a pastor. They banned Greg Locke for being an agent of disinformation. You just happen to be the pastor of a church. They're completely unconnected. As far as this class action lawsuit goes, I can just about guarantee that's not going anywhere, but I believe in the judicial system. If you think you can get something done, then go for it. Be my guest. Far be it from me to stop you. I don't know. I'm going to have to I'll have to read the lawsuit brief. I've been trying to keep up with some of how this stuff works because, of course, my wife is in law school. I haven't been reading her books necessarily, but we've been talking about it, and I've been reading a little bit about how it works and things like that. So, I don't know. Maybe this could be an interesting lawsuit to read about, and who knows? Maybe I'll cover it on stream. Hell, maybe she'll cover it on stream one of these days. That would be pretty interesting. Anyway, let's keep listening.
They banned a pastor. They banned a pastor with a verified public blue checkmark platform on Twitter.
And who gave him that blue checkmark? It was Twitter that gave it to him. They can give it to him and they can take it away. It means fucking nothing. It's just a fucking checkmark.
With a verified public blue checkmark platform on Twitter because I'm a danger. Oh no, it's because they just want to be where they censor us. We're over the target. We're dropping bombs, gospel bombs, political bombs, biblical bombs.
Oh, please. He thinks it's because he's dropping truth bombs. That's why he got banned. Twitter doesn't want the world to know what Pastor Greg Locke, QAnon extraordinaire, has to say. Is that what he thinks? Give me a fucking break, dude. This is embarrassing.
I was just permanently deleted on Twitter. My account's not even there anymore. It's unbelievably ridiculous.
Well, his account isn't there anymore because he's received like 16 fucking warnings up to this point. The 24-hour ban, the 7-day ban, the 28 ban, I mean, however many bans he mentioned earlier. He's been warned like 16 billion times. He knew exactly what was coming if he continued to break their terms of service. Sorry, man.
We're going to sue him. We're fighting back. We're jumping into the lawsuit because this is America, ladies and gentlemen. When are you going to wake up?
No, this isn't America. See, that's the fundamental misunderstanding here. This isn't America. This is Twitter. This is Twitter that did this, not America. There is a distinct difference between public companies and privately owned companies. There's a difference between the federal government and private companies making decisions. You aren't talking about something that America did. You're talking about something a private company in America did, and they are well within their rights to make that decision. Jesus fucking Christ.
We're jumping into the lawsuit because this is America, ladies and gentlemen. When are you going to wake up? When are you going to get your head out of the sand and recognize that they're trying to take away every right that we have? And the problem is we keep complying.
You don't have a right to be on Twitter. That's not a right. Now, I understand. Look, I need to address this argument. I get that some people feel that social media networks basically are the new town square. And they should have rules about communicating on them. Like, this is how you talk to people, right? And I have to say, I kind of disagree with that. I agreed with that perspective for a while, but I think I disagree with it now. I think that I'm okay with you being banned from, like, basically any platform for any reason, as long as the reasons are consistent and not discriminatory, and as long as you aren't, like, jailed for it, or you don't have to pay some kind of a legal fine or something like that. As long as you're not penalized by the government. As long as the company's rules are consistent and not discriminatory, I'm okay with it, generally speaking. They can set any rules that they want. As long as they don't discriminate against you for being a Republican or a Democrat. As long as they don't discriminate against you for being gay or trans or, black or white or anything at all. No discrimination. And as long as they apply them equally across the board, I'm okay with them banning anybody for any reason. If you really want to get your message out, stand on the public square, really. Stand on your soapbox on the street corner. This is what people had to do back in the day. In fact, I'm not even sure why he's bitching. He has a platform that can't be taken away by anybody. A church and a pretty broad audience across the country. He could upload his videos to his own website and people would go to it to listen to him. He's got a big fucking platform. Greg Locke does.
For now, thank God I'm still on, Facebook and YouTube, but I'm telling you, it's unbelievable what they are doing. The conservative Christian censorship is ridiculous.
You just happen to be conservative and Christian. That's totally unrelated to why you were banned.
Censorship is ridiculous. If you don't think persecution is here, you are not paying attention. It is unbelievable what we are willing to not stand up against.
Why does he feel so persecuted? First of all, I think there are two reasons why he feels persecuted. The first reason is because when you are in a position of privilege and power, equality feels like oppression. I don't know who said that originally. Somebody did. It wasn't me. So that's the first thing. That's why he feels like he's persecuted. And for the second thing, he has to have this persecution complex. It's part of his ideology. He has to believe that he's being attacked. It creates a sense of camaraderie and loyalty and brotherhood among himself and his congregants and his fellow pastors. Cults use the persecution complex all the time. I see it constantly from these groups. It is part of the ideology.
Not stand up against. Oh my goodness, if we say something, they're going to ban us as well. Let them ban us all. We will all stand up and sue them.
Okay, suing them is going to be a waste of your time and money, but be my guest. Feel free. That's totally 100% okay with me. Suddenly he's okay with this if they get to sue him. I think it's because he knows it's basically his only recourse. Since it's a private company, he knows that he can't do anything to change their minds or alter the decision. So he's doing the only thing that he thinks he has to do, which is sue. And again, I'm okay with that. Go ahead, sue him. It won't come to anything.
First pastor to be banned on Twitter?
Oh my God. Again, it wasn't because you were a pastor. It was because you're a node of disinformation. And first pastor? I don't think so. They banned like 70,000 QAnon accounts. I would bet hard money at least a couple of those 70,000 accounts, at least the ones that weren't bots, were pastors. At least a couple.
With a verified platform?
Oh, there's the caveat at the end. Okay. He knows he's not the first pastor. He just has to keep adding caveats to the end.
For simply stating what I believe to be true, what I know to be true in so many cases?
No, that's inaccurate. For simply stating what I believe to be true, what I know to be true. No. The things that he was saying were not true. Again, like Hemant Mehta said in this article, I don't think anybody is really sure exactly what it was that he said that got him banned, but he says plenty. For real. Maybe I can find like a record of his old tweets somewhere. That would be awesome. Maybe somebody like used the Wayback Machine or something to document all of his old tweets, and we can go back and look at them in a future episode. But the guy has been a consistent node of disinformation since day one. He is nothing but harmful to U.S. democracy and to society as a whole.
And yet Christians are like, well, Romans chapter 13, you don't want to punch back. Oh yeah, you got the wrong one.
Fascinating. He just quoted a Bible verse and said, I disagree. How about that? I guess he's a little picky and choosy about which verses of the Bible he thinks are right, which verses that he wants to follow. How about that shit? He follows the Bible, except when he doesn't.
Oh yeah, you got the wrong one. You got the wrong one. Yes, we're going to punch back. This is ridiculous. YouTube's next. Facebook's next. They've already demonetized me in every way possible. All of these different platforms. I mean, look what they did to Parler when they took down the President of the United States, back in January. Look what they...
Okay, I'm not sure what he's talking about here, but for the record, when all of this went down, Parler was a cesspool of genuine violence. Like, it was unsafe to have Parler up and operating. And Apple and Google and a bunch of other companies, Amazon included, said if you don't moderate some of this stuff and remove some of the violent rhetoric, we can't let you be on our app stores. This is unacceptable. That was the thing that kind of got Parler shut down. Amazon was hosting their website and their servers and everything through AWS, Amazon Web Services. I used to use that when I was hosting websites. And AWS said, you have to moderate this shit. We're not going to let you be on our servers. They just cut them off completely. So Parler had to take all their shit and go to another service. And as far as I know, Parler agreed to some moderation. And that is what allowed them back on like the Apple and Google app stores. That wasn't censorship. That was a company genuinely putting people's lives in danger by letting others just dox them and talk about violence and all kinds of real bad shit. Real bad shit. It's still pretty bad, Parler is, now that it's back up, but it's not like it was. My God. It was fucking rough for a minute. Let's keep listening.
January. Look what they did to that. I'm telling you, they're coming for us. It's time to stand up and say enough's enough. Okay, if your church is still closed, tell your cowardly pastor you're going somewhere else. I've said it 1,000 times, I'll say it 1,000 more. I'm not apologizing for the truth of the gospel.
Nobody wants you to apologize for the truth of the gospel, whatever the fuck that means. Nobody wants you to even apologize. People just want you to stop spreading disinformation. That's the difference here. What this guy is saying is not from the Bible. The Bible is not anti-vax. The Bible never said anything about Donald Trump being the next Messiah. The Bible never said a fucking word about Joe Biden being replaced with a clone and tunnels under Congress and all the other crazy shit this guy has to say. The Bible doesn't say anything about that. He's not preaching the truth of the gospel. He's preaching the crazy conspiracies of Greg Locke. And that's what's getting him in trouble. If he was just talking about the Bible, it would be a totally different ballgame. Nobody would ban him from anything for that. This isn't about the truth of the gospel. This is about Greg Locke's conspiracy theories. Nothing more.
Truth of the gospel. I'm not apologizing for being too abrasive, okay? The days of diplomacy are well over. It's time to fight. It's time to stand up and say enough is enough. We're going to push back. And so, Twitter, you've done your dead level best. Now we're going to stand up. We're going to push back. And we're going to say, to God be the glory, great things he hath done. Greater is he that is in us than he that is in the world. We're not going to stop. We're not going to give in. We're not going to be silenced. We're not going to roll over. We're not going away. We're not going to live in a cave. That's the end of it. I have no idea what that noise was behind me, but praise be to God. We're not going to stop. I'll say it again. We're not going to stop.
Okay. Cool. Do what you need to do, I guess. Like, I don't give a fuck. If you want to sue Twitter, then sue Twitter. It's probably not going to come of anything anyways. There are legal protections in place that you put in there. Republicans, more generally, wanted to deregulate companies as much as you possibly could. No regulation, free market, blah, blah, blah. Let companies do whatever the fuck they want. Remember that? You remember, right? Well, guess what? Now you are facing the consequences of those bills that you wanted to push through. Private companies have the right to do just about anything that they want with their own private companies. And that includes banning your ass. I know that's not pleasant, but that's what it is, man. For good measure, before we get off of here, let me watch this one clip. This one came out around the same time that he got banned, but I thought it was an entertaining clip. This is Greg Locke in his church. Check this out.
I'm dumber than a box of rocks in a lot of areas. Facebook just makes people think I'm smart.
I don't. Are you sure? I don't remember that.
Facebook just makes people think I'm smart.
I don't remember that. I don't remember that happening at all. Can you give me a link or something? Anything. I'll take whatever you got.
I graduated from high school almost 2 years late with an 8th grade bonehead math degree. I failed pre-algebra 2 years in a row. I've never had business math, consumer math. I never even made it past pre-algebra. Never had real algebra. I hate math. Somebody say amen. Yes, you're like me. I get nervous when the Holy Spirit wants me to preach out of the book of Numbers. I hate math.
That's clever, actually. I think that's a really clever joke. He is, in a lot of ways, like a stand-up comedian, you know? That's kind of his shtick. He goes around, gets people revved up, and kind of jokes around with them a little bit. It's very good. It's a good idea. It's very charismatic, draws people in and everything. But I'm not sure why he seems to be taking pride in being quote-unquote dumber than a box of rocks. Why would you be proud of that? I don't understand. Don't you want to have a good grip on reality and the things going on around you and have a good understanding of how things work and operate and what the world is made of and how it works and all that other shit? You don't want to know all that stuff? That blows my fucking mind. Seriously, it's like, before I was a YouTuber, I used to think to myself, this is like the dream job. Like, everybody wants to be a YouTuber, you know? But since everybody wants to be a YouTuber, almost nobody can. It's like this tiny little slot at the top of people who succeed on YouTube. And then I realized other people really don't want to do this job. I thought everybody dreamed of being a YouTuber or being a public speaker or being like a tour guide or something like that, you know, talking to people and having platform or whatever else. Almost nobody does, as it turns out. I had no idea. It's just like Greg Locke here.
I get nervous when the Holy Spirit wants me to preach out of the book of Numbers. I hate math.
He's taking pride in being anti-intellectual.
It's nonsense.
I don't even know what to say to this. Like, he just said that shit right out in the open for everybody to listen to.
I'm dumber than a box of rocks in a lot of areas.
Okay. Well, thank you for that information, Greg Locke. I appreciate it. Balthazar228. I wouldn't put it past Greg Locke to get banned from a nationalized social media platform that was controlled by the U.S. government for hate speech, right? If the U.S. government owned a platform, then they would be bound to moderation rules of the Constitution, I would assume. I mean, I don't know that for a fact. But it would actually get pretty fucking ugly in that case. I don't know that should exist. If people want to say whatever they want without being moderated, they should create their own website and do it on that. You know, like Donald Trump did. He created his own blog, started posting on that like mad. That's perfectly reasonable. Do that. Just like Alex Jones did too. If you want to say crazy shit, do it on your own website. Walmart and Home Depot have no obligation to let you stand in their store screeching at the people who walk by your crazy shit. And Twitter doesn't have that obligation either.